We had a real problem there because of the landslides that roads were broken. And then you have a problem to send logistic or search and rescue or medical teams.
They are collecting the people that look, that doesn't look like the country's people.
About 10,000 people were killed and about 20,000 people were displaced. Hi, I'm Dovie Maisel, Vice President of Operations for United Hatzalah, Israel's largest volunteer EMS organization.
And I'm Elad Bachar, the head of the medical division.
And welcome back to another episode of Masters of Emergency. And we're here on our special series of international disasters and the mechanisms of response. And back on with us is the prestigious, world-renowned Professor Kobi Peleg, one of the world's leaders of disaster management and incident command, who's managed many of the world's largest disasters and wars and the medical response on behalf of the World Health Organization and UNDAC, also a colonel in the IDF from the Medical Corps in his past, and in general, a master of disaster. So, hi, Kobi, welcome back.
It's a pleasure and honor to be here, Dovie and Elad.
Thank you.
Thank you for inviting me.
And
Our pleasure.
And it's great to be back and talking and learning from experience. And in this episode, we'll be talking about the earthquake that occurred in Nepal on Saturday, April 25th, 2015. I don't know, for some reason, disasters always occur on Saturday. I don't know. That's some sort of force majeure. Anyway, earthquake outside of Kathmandu, otherwise considered as the Gorkha earthquake, a 7.8 magnitude on the bottom of the Himalaya. And reportedly in this incident, about 10,000 people were killed. And about 20,000 people were displaced, injured, and damaging different parts of Kathmandu, but more so the outskirts and the villages on the mountains. And I think the opportunity of having Professor Peleg with us, Kobi, on this episode is on the special role that you played in this incident. And we'll also further on into the episode address the same role that you took also on the war on Ukraine, coordinating the medical efforts on behalf of the World Health Organization. I can imagine that must be one of the most complicated missions to do in such a situation. I'll hand it over to you, and then I'll bring it back to where I said in the previous episode, the guerrilla organization.
The unofficial.
The unofficial organization, because in the past episode when we spoke about Haiti, and Professor, you were talking about the procedures that you put into place from the lessons learned in Haiti. That's where it sort of hit us in the face a little bit when we got to Nepal. So tell us a little bit about what this role is. What sort of significance does it hold, understanding that you're coordinating all of the medical efforts on such a disaster?
So to be honest, I was dispatched to this disaster as an UNDAC member. In Nepal, we had...
Can you just explain to the viewers and listeners what UNDAC is? Because to them, it just sounds like a crazy word.
You are really right. And thank you for... UNDAC is United Nations Disaster Assessment and Coordination. It's a small unit that belongs to OCHA. OCHA is the agency in the UN that responsible for humanitarian affairs all over the world, not only in disasters, but UNDAC is the unit that basically responsible for assessment and coordination in disaster situations. Basically, it's a small group of people in OCHA that working daily about emergency and things like that. I mean, very small one, but they have like a reserve. They have experts all over the world, and when you have we are volunteers. We are not.
It's not your day job.
Yeah, we are not employees of any UN agency. Some of them, of course, are employees, but most of the people are not. And then when a disaster occurs, then we have a message. They ask us who is available, and from the whole people that members that wrote that they are available, they decided who will be the members of the specific team by the specialty, by the how close are they to the area, etc., etc. So in Nepal, I was dispatched as an UNDAC member, not as a WHO member. And when we arrived there, the UNDAC decided to try to work with the system that worked today for the EMT, for the WHO EMT. It means that WHO has their own system to arrange and to coordinate, the healthcare, but they had one guy, the same Ian Norton that I spoke before, that he came as a WHO. He took 3 people from the UNDAC team that have a medical background. It was me, it was another physician from Austria, and a nurse from, I think, Finland. And we work as the team that coordinate the EMT system. And I have to say that it worked much, much, much better than I thought. We have a very, very good collaboration and cooperation with the Ministry of Health. And what we did every day at 2:00 point, we met the representative of the Ministry of Health, that was a very senior person there, the Surgeon General of the Nepal Medical Corps, and our 3 people. And then Nepal, Nepal Health, Ministry of Health, show us what is the needs that they receive from the areas of medical teams. We brought on the same time the list of all the EMTs that arrived in the last 24 hours, or teams that told us, okay, we finish our mission in specific place. And then we decided what emergency medical team will go where. And at 3:00, all the representatives from the medical teams came, and then
assigned missions. So I'd like to take it back a notch a second, because you're already with the days and the assessment, and we'll talk about that. But starting off, and I'll bring it back home a little bit to how we look at something like this. We didn't even think about pre-coordinating, EMT, UNDAC, WHO. We know United Hatzalah. And the Shabbat morning when I get the call from dispatch right behind me here saying that there was an earthquake, and I'm like, okay, let's start monitoring the situation. We spoke about this in previous episodes, and we're trying to create some sort of an assessment of what's going on. And we understand one thing immediately. In the Langtang, in the area that was hit by the earthquake, and in Kathmandu, we know that at any given moment, there are thousands of Israelis, because it is one of the prime locations for all those guys and girls that finish the army. They get on the next plane out and they go to trekking on the Langtang, Himalaya, or go to Asia in general. And we understood that an incident on scale like this will most definitely impact with direct hitting on Israelis. Forget even thinking about yet the next stage of, just helping everyone. But so as far as we were concerned, we saw this as a priority mission. We were in touch immediately. I was in touch early in the morning already with the Chabad rabbi there, Chezki Lifshitz, amazing guy. And he's telling me thousands of Israelis that aren't accounted for yet. So we understood we got to put into action and make my calls. We get the approval. We start creating a go team. I end up being the go team together with another two guys. And back here at HQ, we have a larger team assembling of about 20 members. I head out. How do we get to Nepal? We're trying to get tickets from here, from there. I end up getting on a plane to Hong Kong, from there to Bangladesh. And in Bangladesh, actually, it was funny. Obviously, we were scared to death to get off the plane in Bangladesh. And we stayed on the plane. All the passengers disembarked. We're left there. We're the three guys, plus three businessmen that board from Bangladesh. And the two pilots, the two pilots which are British. And they close the doors and we take off towards Nepal, and we're like sitting on this 777, 5 people. And they're asking us, what are we doing? And we're wearing our shirts and everything. And we're like, we're the go team of a rescue mission to the earthquake. And they were so taken by it. These are 3 businessmen, Nepalese, that were so taken by the fact that we're coming from across the world to come and help there. And then I always say there's a larger force that maneuvers everything, because the fact that they were so taken with their capabilities on the ground, they said, wait a second, so you're going to need jeeps, you're going to need generators, you're going to need, and we're like, yeah, because that's what we were planning to do on the ground once we land. So we knock on the door to the pilots. We're the only ones on the plane. So they opened up the door there. They get on the satellite phone from the pilots. And then the pilots were talking to us and understood what was going on. And they're like, okay, no problem. They pull out their satellite phones. These businessmen are talking to their employees or whatever back in Kathmandu. They weren't affected by the earthquake itself, but and they're getting us jeeps. So when we landed in Kathmandu, we had a jeep already waiting for us outside. Plus they were preparing other ones for the rest of the team that will come later. They were taking addresses of where we were getting ourselves organized and located as a base camp, which was in a monastery there, in a monastery somewhere in Kathmandu there, and when we landed, that's when I met your guys. We're used to like walking in disaster, like we own the place, so we're walking in like we own the place. Except there was this nice table there right before the exit, and we're coming out with our orange shirts and everything. So obviously we couldn't exactly blend in. So your guys over there, hey, stop.
Stuff that they learned from the Haiti.
Yeah, exactly.
This is the way to control every EMT or search and rescue team that arrived there.
So they ask, are you EMT members? So I'm a paramedic, but the guy with me says, yeah, I'm an EMT. So that's how we made our first acquaintance with the EMT program, which today, by the way, the organization is in the process of we've submitted, and we're in the process of getting officially registered by the EMT program as a Type 1 mobile. So this is where basically we hit the ground, start doing our assessment, taking a tour around Kathmandu. And my guess is more or less at this time, you're either there or just arriving there or whatever. So tell me how that looks. How does it look from your end at teams that are coming in? Do you know what's coming in? Are you expecting them? Or is it like just people like us that walk in at the door?
Our country says to the UN that they are going to send a rescue team or EMT teams or a field hospital.
It works in several ways. Excuse me. The first one is that all the certified search and rescue teams and medical teams, but even that they are not certified but know the system, and you can use it too. You have a web that in every disaster you can come in. You have all the update and things like that. And then you can register that you are United Hatzalah unit, you are coming with EMT or with logistic or with anything that you are interested. And then usually most of the time, we know how many are coming, what type, how large.
Where is this website? We can put it afterwards in the
of course,
in the information. So any professional that's interested and as a team to come and assist in a disaster will know to go there. Yeah, sorry.
Of course. The other one, because we have some units that are not using it or even don't know about it. We have in every airport, international airport in these affected countries, we have a small team that are staying in the exit of the airport, and they control not every, but most.
They are collecting the people that look, that doesn't look like the country's people.
Well, teams like us, basically.
Basically, but not only this type of units. They try to digging every unit or every people that are coming to assist or to relieve as a relief unit to the situation. They registered them. They took phone numbers and things like that. They gave them where to go, where is our center. And then when they are coming to the center, they have maps. We tell them where we need them, who is the person that coordinate the type of this specific, if they are health or they are logistic or they are communication or they are search and rescue. And it works like that. And this is the reason that they digging you in the...
So we leveraged the fact that these businessmen were with us, which said they're with us. So we're like, yeah, we're with them. And we walked out to the Jeep, which was waiting. And well, we did the first drive around. And we see that more or less in Kathmandu, there were already, USAR teams there, urban search and rescue teams there from India and more from the region that were relatively nearby that were already operating there. It wasn't like what we've seen before in Haiti or in other places, not on that scale. There were buildings that fell and yes, there were, but it wasn't as bad. So we as part of the Go team, our mission was to define the mission, basically. We're boots on ground. We have 25 guys or 25 guys that were getting organized here, guys and girls, team of doctors, paramedics, search and rescue, and whatever, which we're preparing here with a general mission role that we defined as number one, the missing Israelis, and number two, medical assistance. That was our primary goal. And as we did the first survey, we were able to connect with the Israeli embassy and the Chabad house and started to cross-check information and understand what the real need is. And we understood that in Kathmandu itself, there is no real need for medical assistance. So working with local Nepalese representatives, which, by the way, we're connected to through a educational cooperation and with research and agriculture from here in Israel in the Arava, we were able to get our location of where we'll stay. And we understood mapping out that going out towards the mountains, the villages on the mountaintops were simply
crushed,
wiped off the face of the earth, flat.
They are flat, yeah.
So we defined that the mission, as soon as it comes in, the big mission, will assign a certain amount of the mission focused on identifying and search and rescue of the missing Israelis, primarily up in the Langtang, in the nature reserve there, which there was avalanches there and what do you call it? Landslides. And the rest of the team will be focusing. We started working with locals to assemble logistics, whether it was stretchers and medical equipment and whatnot locally, source it locally. We got the generators from these guys, showed up at our monastery. They got us diesel fuel for it. They got us, we gave them lists and lists of equipment, and they started providing us with the equipment so that when the team landed, we had 7 Jeeps waiting for them down at the airport. We were set up. Come to base camp in the monastery. And we know that the next morning, besides the team which will be working on the missing Israelis, the rest are going out to the mountains to create like a local clinic.
Smart.
And that's immediately what we understood would be the best added value that we could bring. And it was unbelievable. We drove out to the mountains and we get to these villages which were literally wiped off the face of this earth. And those who are severely injured, those who are dead, as unfortunate as it is. Those who are severely injured were taken to Kathmandu, and the rest are just there. So we on the first day we positioned ourselves in a school, in a courtyard of our school. Got a few local guys. With
How long is it from
it's about
Kathmandu?
An hour. We left at sunrise, but an hour and a half, 2-hour drive out. We got this courtyard of the school on the mountainside. So we got a whole bunch of locals with machetes to take the bamboo, and they started putting up a tent for us there, and we assembled like a whole triage process with tape on the ground, and beds and medications, everything that we had, setting up a whole ER basically. Another guy goes out with a Jeep with a big Israeli flag, a local Nepalese guy with a megaphone through the villages, saying that in this school there's medical assistance. Within an hour, 300-400 people lined up outside waiting. It was simply, and this day after day, and we'd relay information back as we were going up to the mountains through different towns that we were moving. We'd relay back to the IDF Home Front Command that brought their search and rescue and the field hospital. Maybe you'll be able to talk about that a little bit as well. But that's sort of the, looking at the small team that can be nimble and move around versus official established response.
No doubt about it. First of all, we had a real problem there because of the landslides. That roads were broken by a landslide, and then you have a problem to send logistic or search and rescue or medical teams. So we understood after 2-3 days that we have to ride them by helicopters and things like that. And then it come to be, much more complicated and things like that. Secondly, it's people don't understand, but it's a very small villages. I mean, a village is something like 20 to 50 houses. Most of them, as Dovie say, they were flat because it's not built by constructions and things like that.
It's not with concrete, it's mud or something.
Bricks and mud.
Yeah.
And this is the reason that everything was collapsed. And the other problem is that you have not any medical assistant or, medical clinics and things like that in these areas unless you are not coming to the, centralized.
The bigger town.
Yeah, it's not a big, this is the reason that I thought, because it's not biggest, but it's the centralized town in this area. And when you are using small EMTs, the level 1, the type 1, not big hospitals, it's much easier and much effective to come to areas like that, especially mobiles, treated and triage.
Deploy in this area.
Of course, triage, and then to evacuate or transfer them to the EMTs, to the type 2 or to the type 3. What we did, we decided in the command and control center that because the Israeli field hospital is a type 3, they work as a hub of the whole evacuation from the mountains and things like that. And they were located nearby the largest military hospital
in Kathmandu.
That belonged to the Nepal Medical Corps. And they work in a cooperation and collaboration between these two.
So they basically expanded the biggest military hospital. I remember I was there. It was also on their football field there as well. And
it was a park.
It was like a park. Yeah, it was a big grass, whatever. But it was a huge area there. And we, as we were moving forward up into the mountains, we were relaying information back to them. So I'm guessing that went back to you guys, basically. How many, when we talk about international responders that you're coordinating, how many teams, EMT teams, at whatever level, take part in such a mission? And how long does your role exist? I mean, how long were you actually there managing an operation like this before you go into the long term?
If I remember well, I'm not sure about it, but I think that in the first week or the first 2 weeks, we had 74, 76 EMTs, medical teams. You have the whole range, I mean, from type 1 to type 3, but sometimes what's happened is that, 2 physicians arrived there and they want to go alone. So most of the times we are telling them, you have to go with this and these teams, and you match them together. And I remember that 2 Israeli physician women that were, I gave them a lot of respect and honor. They came and as you said, we work very nicely with the Ministry of Health of Nepal, and every EMT that was sent to Gorkha or to another area, the Ministry of Health gave them a formal letter, and they spoke with the region, and they told the region, okay, United Hatzalah or doesn't matter, is on the way to you. They will arrive tomorrow. Please tell them where are you needed, that they will be setting, and please help them on every logistic that they need. What happened with these 2 women, they called me, they sent me a WhatsApp message after, 3 or 4 days, and we knew already by the Ministry of Health that they finished to do what they need. And they told me, okay, we are interested to move to another area. So I wrote them, I know that you already moved from this area to this area. She was shocked. So
the coordination was being done very, very well.
The coordination is not only with the medical teams, it's with
from the medical system, the local medical system.
Local medical system. And then you can cross and to know what are the needs and to fit the needs with the resources. And this is the main.
And how long does this operation continue as far as, the WHO? How long were you there? Just for example, so we can get a perspective. I know we were there for 2 weeks. Like I said, we know to go to 2 weeks and then we're basically done. We've maxed out of our capabilities. How long does an operation like this on behalf of the WHO take place?
Basically, the system of UNDAC and the WHO EMT is, I'm speaking about the command and control center, not about the teams. Basically, is around 3 weeks. Oh. Sometimes it's 2, but it's around 3 weeks. And later on, it's not stopped. What's happened is that OCHA, that they are OCHA employees, they have salaries from the UN, etc., they are coming and take over.
For the long term. Basically.
Yeah, for the long term, because they are working for long.
Yeah, they stay for months.
We are coming only for the emergency phase.
So it's making sure that when everybody pours in, there's someone who's making sense in the chaos. We always say you can't control chaos, but we try to make sense within it. And
arrange it a little
as someone that experienced it firsthand, we've learned. I'll just say, as we're coming to the end of the episode already, is our mission there. At the end of the day, it took a few days until all the Israelis were accounted for except for one. There was one Israeli ex-commando unit, guy that was up in the Langtang, and in a landslide, he was killed. And with our search and rescue experts and mapping experts, we were able to map out the exact location in the Langtang, literally a square on the map. We sent our team up with helicopters, and they repelled a 2-day mission down to the point, found his body. I remember being at the airport when the helicopters landed, retrieving his body so he can be flown back for burial in Israel. And that was a unique team that was focused on that. The helicopters were going up and down, getting teams and equipment up to the Langtang. And by the way, great Netflix miniseries about that earthquake, by the way, I recommend. I don't remember exactly what it's called, but it's a four episode series of the earthquake in Nepal. And on the other side, experiencing the work on the mountaintops in these villages, to see the gratitude of people, to see the appreciation of people, to see how you could do so much good just by being there. We treated, I would say, easily over 1,000 people. And it was simply tremendous pride for us, as Jews, as Israelis, to come there. And I know that moved us to move forward in the recognition process and learn more about how to do it more professionally. As we wrap up, Kobi, just like we did in the last episode, any takeaway that you would recommend to any of our listeners, whether it's a professional or not, looking at your experience on such world-class disasters? What would, even let's make it a message for professionals, anybody in the emergency field. What would be one significant takeaway that you would recommend, given your life experience in this emergency and disaster management?
So maybe one take-home message is, when you are dealing with an uncertainty situation, as disasters, emergencies, crisis, you cannot work by protocols. It means you have to have golden principles or something like that, and to hold a way of thinking out of the box. I mean, work by the principles if you can, because a lot of times the situation wouldn't let you...
The disaster doesn't read the protocol, the textbook.
Yeah.
We talked about it today,
because if you try
October
to work
7th.
by protocols, you will crash. So try to do the right thing at the right time, in the right place. And you have to know that you will make mistakes. No chance to manage these situations without to make mistakes, but try not to make the same mistake twice.
Try to learn from your mistakes.
Of course, that's what I try to say.
That's I think the best takeaway. You can make mistakes, just don't make them twice. I think that first of all,
Einstein sentence.
Well,
no, you have to remember that you make mistakes not because
it's reality.
You were wrong, because in situations like that, you have an information now that after 15 minutes, you can know that
it's not relevant anymore.
The situation is totally different. And you have another message. So this is the way.
So I can say one thing, Elad, and I think you'll attest to that, is that we've been talking about in every episode, is we practice, we learn, we train, we learn lessons learned, we have protocols, but always don't be stuck in the protocol. Be agile. Think out of the box. Find the solutions, because reality keeps changing all around. I think that's the tunnel vision. We've been talking about it in all the previous episodes. And thank you, Professor, for giving me a diploma for that. A stamp on what we've been preaching about. That really does bring us to the end of this episode. And I want to take the opportunity to thank you again, Professor Kobi Peleg, for coming, for sharing of your experience. It's humbling for us, and for, I'm sure, appreciated by all of our viewers and listeners, to get this life experience, unique life experience that you have. And for me personally, being my teacher, I just want to keep learning from you.
I'm proud of students like you.
Thank you. And that brings us to the end of the episode. If you liked the episode, share it with your friends, share it with the community. Make sure to subscribe right down here on all social media platforms. On the next episode, we will be talking about some more international assistance in large scale incidents, and more lessons learned and more experience and more great stories. So once again, practice, learn from your mistakes, make the mistake only once. Thank you, Professor Peleg, for being here with us.
It was an honor and a pleasure. And thanks for inviting.
And thank you guys very much. See you on the next episode.